Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. We're your hosts, Calvin Timms and Dale Terry, and we're back with Week 5 preview for your weekly matchups. And, we're a Dynasty podcast where we're trying to give a little bit of a redraft flair and trying to help you guys in your leagues this upcoming week. So hopefully you guys like some of our takes. Nice thing is we got a couple bye weeks, so it's going to be a little bit of an easier week for us here talking about this. It'll be shorter anyway. But it's exciting. We're rolling through. I've never had a start to the season as good as this one, so I can't be complaining too much there. But Dale, how are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well, and I will add to that. I've been doing pretty well in most of my leagues. Everything's going pretty well. I mean, at the very least, I'm 2-2, so it's really, really hard to complain.
There you go. No, I think the only one I'm doing poorly in is my full-on rebuild league, but yeah, you gotta take it on the chin sometimes. You gotta retool, get back up to strength. But which leads to my first topic of the day that I wanted to talk about here quickly. I just did a trade in that league actually, which is a full rebuild, and I ended up trading. I traded Deebo Samuel for Drake London. What do you think about this trade? Because this guy is going for it now. He needs some wide receiver help, and that's why he was willing to give up Drake London. I'm in full rebuild, get to kind of go for the future a little bit more with Drake London. What are your thoughts on the trade?
I really like that. I like Drake London, and I think he has a very good future. Not this year, not in the immediate future, because Desmond Ridder is not very good, and he's throwing to Jonnu Smith. But I do feel that Deebo is an aging star on an offense where he's sometimes second, maybe third fiddle in that offense. Well,
sometimes he's first too, but you never know with San Francisco, right?
But I feel that's few and far between anymore with Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey there. So I kind of feel he's kind of on the shelf for them sometimes too, because he's injured quite a bit. So
that is true. I will say the one thing that I used in my trade negotiations, and if you have Deebo out there and you're in rebuild, this is some free advice for you. But I used the same argument, and I do believe this, that next year Brandon Ayuk is a free agent technically. I don't know if they're going to have enough money to pay him a big contract that he's going to want, especially with all the other guys. They just paid Bosa, they're paying CMC, they're paying like everybody on this team basically. So it's a very high likelihood that Brandon Ayuk walks, and at that point then you're down to just CMC, Deebo, and Kittle, and it's a lot more interesting long term. I think he's safer long term than people kind of feel about him, but at the same time, all of your arguments are very valid as well. So I liked it a lot, and this is just an example. It's a little bit of a humble brag, but it's just a real life example too of getting value for your teams. If you are in rebuild, these are creative ways. You don't know, a lot of people on Twitter and analysts out there, they say, oh, you just got to get first round picks. Okay. But sometimes you need good players, and I do believe, like Dale said, that Drake London is going to be a good player as soon as he gets a quarterback on this team. And maybe they trade for somebody in season. They're going to feel it here the next couple of weeks. We'll talk about some of their matchups here. We'll talk about their matchup here today, and their record the last couple of weeks is not looking good. So, maybe they do something drastic and trade for a quarterback in season, but at the same time, I got a good player on a decent discount on a rebuild that's a young player. So just different ways to look at players. You don't always have to just go, oh, I need a first, oh, I need a second, oh, I need a third. It's easy to talk about trades in those terms because, would I take a first round pick for this player, or would I give a first round pick for this player? Yes. But if you don't have one, or if you're contending, there's all the different variables. Just getting first round picks is not going to save your team all the time. So really quickly, just wanted to talk about that here at the start of the show. But you can find us over on Twitter and the podcast on Twitter at FF After Dark. You can find us on Spotify, Google, Apple, Rumble, YouTube, anywhere that podcasts are really found. If you're there, can you please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on the video? These videos have been dropping down a little bit lower in terms of viewer rate. So everybody that has been watching, we appreciate you guys. we're trying to, utilize some sort of in-season content. And, with it being a primarily dynasty-focused podcast, we need a little bit of feedback. So if you guys can leave a comment, hit us up on Twitter at TDC_Calvin for myself, at Dynasty_Dale. Let us know some of your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you guys, especially the people that have been listening all the time. So that is the quick transition. And then the last piece of information before we jump into the matchups here today. This week on Saturday, we are going to be dropping a sports betting podcast. Me and my co-host, my little sister, she's a very large sports gambler. She's pretty good at it too, to be fair. And hopefully we're going to have another guest here in the next couple weeks. I'm still trying to figure that schedule out as well. But, pending that guest, we'll see what happens there. But either way, we're going to have some college football betting lines, some NFL betting lines. That's going to come out on Saturday. So if you do like sports betting, we're going to give you that. And we're going to be doing it in a more responsible manner as well, kind of giving you some more safer bets that aren't, we're not going to be giving you parlay advice, because that's pretty much all I ever see on Twitter. Oh, I missed one leg of this parlay. Parlays are sucker bets, and there's just a lot of bad gambling advice out there. So that's why we're going to be coming out with that this Saturday. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And that said, Dale, any last thoughts, or you want to jump into it?
I am ready for this.
All right. Let's go on to our first matchup tonight. When you're listening to this, or, it's already over by the time you've listened to this. Hopefully you guys are listening. Again, like, comment, subscribe, all those things. Appreciate you. Chicago 0-4 versus the 2-2 Washington Commanders, Chicago Bears. They are headed to Washington, and this is going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be closer than people kind of anticipate. Justin Fields looked way better last week, like insanely better. So I guess we can just kick off there. The Bears are 0-4, but they were up multiple touchdowns on the Broncos last week, and their defense, dude, it's terrible.
Yeah, I do hear a lot of people saying that Fields had a couple mistakes, which he did.
He did.
It was the fumble 6 that happened, and then the pick at the end, I don't really think was his fault. I think Cole Kmet just didn't turn around at the right time.
I mean, it's possible that just a miscommunication.
So but as a whole, Justin Fields played tremendous. And it's really a shame what the dynasty community's kind of really done to Justin Fields. They've kind of made him out as this joke, and I feel he's a great quarterback, and he's really a buy low guy for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So but in this matchup, I'm definitely firing up Fields. I think he's going to have another fantastic day.
Yeah.
I'm not super scared of this Washington defense. Like, they've been they were torched last week with
by the Eagles.
Jalen Hurts.
Yep,
it was by the Eagles, Jalen
rough.
Hurts, and they were also torched the week before by the Buffalo Bills. Torched them, but that game was bad to begin with.
But you can run on these guys. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's where Justin Fields, I think he's going to have a good day. The biggest thing that's crazy to me, and this is the last thing on Justin Fields, he's been good this season. Like, he's been very good for a quarterback.
He's been very solid, yes.
For fantasy, at least, real life, whatever, struggles, blah, blah, blah. But for fantasy, he's been very good, and he is not running at all, like barely at all. I heard the stat that he's on pace to barely be under 600 yards on the season.
Right.
And you look at last year, he was on pace through that stretch for like 1,200, 1,500 yards. It was crazy how much he was running. And this year, he's just not getting involved. So I'm not entirely sure what's up with that. And you saw that last week too. They were up multiple scores on the Denver Broncos, but they did not get Fields out in space to just like run it down their throats and finish the game. They got really conservative, and that's when the mistakes started to come in and things like that. So I'm interested to see if they do start to open up Justin Fields in the running game. But I think Fields, again, he's going to be a QB1, maybe a little bit lower end, unless he can utilize some of that rushing. On the flip side, I actually think Sam Howell is pretty startable this week, especially against the terrible Bears defense.
I was about to say it's the only reason he's startable is because he's playing the Bears, and it's I mean, as a whole team building thing, like what the Bears have done is really travesty to their fans and
Right.
organization as a whole.
Yep.
I feel it's really a joke at this point, and I've been seeing a lot of Bears Twitter because I am a Justin Fields truther here. And I personally hope they fire
They won't until the end of
Eberflus
the year,
and Getsy.
but yeah,
I really hope those two don't get back on the bus after this game, personally.
they might win.
And
They might win.
and I really wouldn't be shocked if that happens. Unfortunately, for them. I'm
unfortunately,
not big on
yeah,
I'm not big on guys getting fired by any means.
right.
It's the real life jobs, but they're doing it poorly. And
Yeah, I'm
they
with you
need to go
100%.
somewhere else.
Unfortunately, the Chicago ownership, they just won't do it in season. Like, it's just not their
Right, I
style. So,
know.
unfortunately, we're probably stuck until the end of the year. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I would love to see them trade Justin Fields to the Atlanta Falcons. We talked about that a little bit, but
love that. I would love that.
I doubt it's going to happen, but I think they should for sure. And maybe if they continue to lose games and Atlanta lose games, we'll see what happens. But no, I do think Sam Howell has low end QB1 floor this week. He's been fairly good in some of these games, so I think he's definitely startable in a one quarterback league for sure, especially with the buys rolling in. Herbert's out this week, Baker, who's been really good. You're missing some good players this week, so Sam Howell is definitely startable. Running back wise, are you starting any of the Chicago running backs? I am not.
Yeah, I don't know who to start is half the problem.
Yeah, for Chicago, the way that I'm looking at this, to be honest, and with all the skill players, I'm looking at starting DJ Moore and Justin Fields, and in a pinch, Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet will be okay. I know that Washington's been very good against the tight end position, but Cole Kmet, he's kind of he's a touchdown dependent guy, and I think that he's good enough to sneak in. But at the same time, I would not be shocked if he completely disappoints. So just keep that in mind.
I'm still going to start Cole Kmet. I think he's been pretty solid.
True. True.
I feel in all but one game he's gotten over 6 targets, which I love, and if you're in tight end premium, I would be starting him. So
yeah,
I do understand that tight end has been touchdown dependent, but like I saw a stat this year that like the tight end scoring is down like a point or so overall, while the running back and wide receiver scoring is up a point or so. So tight end as a whole has kind of gone down. So like we're kind of looking at these mid-range players as somebody that can be a tight end, a tight end one, I guess you could say, in the year, and stuff like that. So
on the other side, Washington, Brian Robinson, I think, is a smash play. He's going to be a top 5 running back, I think, this week. He's just going to kill it. Gibson, I'm still sitting. I think, you just can't trust him. McLaurin is fine. Dotson is sneaky this week. I'm not starting Curtis Samuel, Diami Brown, and Logan Thomas. I get it's a bad matchup, but they're not getting the volume that is necessary to be reliable on a weekly basis. So for me, it's pretty straightforward in this one. DJ Moore, McLaurin, Dotson, Cole Kmet. I think that there's better matchups this week if you have better options, but it's tight end. Not everybody does. So he's definitely startable for sure. Any last thoughts on this game?
Yeah. I would start Kmet. And I'm not, it's for the Bears. And then I do agree with you with the Commanders. B-Rob's going to be fantastic, and McLaurin, and that's really it. That's all. Until proven otherwise.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, we got one more London game this week. The Jags they stayed in London. This is a weird situation. I don't think this has ever happened before where you have a back-to-back London game performance.
I believe it has, but they've been doing
by the same team.
More.
That's
I think
never happened. I don't think.
I think it happened last year. I will look at their schedule.
Okay, look that up for me real quick. But yeah, they are taking on the Buffalo Bills. I actually think that the Jaguars have a little bit of an advantage in this game because they've been in London for like 2 weeks now. Buffalo's going to be coming over fresh. They are the London Jaguars anyway, so I think that they're going to get the win here. But it's going to be a little bit of a brawly game. I'm fine starting Trevor Lawrence. I'm fine starting Josh Allen. The Bills, they lost their star corner. Tre'Davious White.
Tre'Davious White.
Yep. They lost him last week, so their defense took a pretty big hit. They're still pretty good up front, but I think that Trevor Lawrence has been good by all metrics. PFF has him as one of the best passers in the league.
But
for fantasy, he's not been great, but all the pass metrics say that he's succeeding. It's just he needs the receivers to help him out a little bit, and I think this is the matchup where that can happen.
Right. Yeah, and I see that, but like also the Bills have played really well, and I think Von Miller he could make his triumphant return, back, but
he's too old, man. He's living on name value at this point.
But I will say that Trevor Lawrence, he's been kind of disappointing this whole year. I mean, he hasn't been bad, he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been good. He's quarterback 19, which for where you drafted him, you're expecting a little bit more.
I agree. I think he's going to perform pretty well this week, though. We'll see. We'll see how Buffalo travels, but that's going to be the biggest thing. I mean, Josh Allen, you're still starting him. There's no fear there. He's a must start, right? Always Josh Allen. So, running back wise, are we starting Travis Etienne in this game?
I am. He's played really well.
Yes.
I've been really surprised with his usage so far, in his rushing attempts. Like I know last week his yards per attempt were down, but I feel that was a fluky game. It kind of got out of hand a little bit in the beginning, and they were running the ball more, so it became more predictable. So I'm fine with starting him up. I think he could be a pretty solid RB2 for you.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you got some good players on bye. We'll talk about a few of the bye teams on next week's or tomorrow's episode, part 2. But James Cook, I think he's startable in this game as well. He's been low key. I don't know if if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's not gonna have a great week, but he's got a very high floor. So again, I think that he's definitely startable, especially in the running back landscape. It's rough. Like, would you rather start James Cook or Khalil Herbert, for example, for Chicago?
I'd feel better. I feel much better about James Cook. I like James Cook.
I agree. I'm with you.
I think James Cook has played really well, and he's really earned his footing as the RB1 in this scheme. I mean, he's running back 12 right now. He's averaged probably around 14 points, which is what you really want
especially for a running back, right?
Yeah, it's solid. Yeah, it's really consistent. And
he's just not getting touchdowns, which kind of limits his ceiling, but he's got a super high floor. So, I think he's fine this week, especially against Jacksonville. They're not the best defense out there. They've been getting a little bit better the last couple of weeks, but I think that they still have a little ways to go there. I like teams like this, these two teams specifically, because it's who you're going to start and who you're not. You know what I mean? Like the pass catchers here. I'm starting Stephon Diggs. Obviously, I'm fine starting Gabe Davis. I know people think it's going to be a down week for him.
I'm fine with Gabe Davis. Like, I'm staying in the flames. Like, he's had a touchdown 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, he's an anytime touchdown threat, right? So
100%.
He's fine. Calvin Ridley, you start him. I think Christian Kirk is the better play than Calvin Ridley.
I do not feel good about Calvin Ridley.
I don't feel good about it, but I think you got to start him.
I mean, if you have to, I'm fine with it, but I don't feel good about it. I think he's he was very lucky last week to have a 40-yard touchdown, and then he just disappeared, like getting other targets.
I do think that Atlanta's secondary is a little bit better right now than Buffalo's, and that's where I think Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence, they just need a little bit of time, but I'm starting Calvin Ridley. I'm not expecting a big week from him again, but I think that you have to. Like, I'd rather start Calvin Ridley than Gabe Davis if I had the choice. But I'd rather start Christian Kirk than Calvin Ridley, for example. So
yes, I would too. So I mean, are we wanting to start up Zay Jones at all, or is it kind of wait and see until he comes back from the injury?
Yeah, he's still questionable at this point. So I'm not. Evan Ingram, I think, is startable as well.
100%. He's been really surprising for me. Like, he's been
really consistent.
Yeah, he's been very solid. Yeah. So I'm starting him up, and if you have to in a pinch, I'd be willing to start Dalton Kincaid.
I'm not. I'd rather start Cole Kmet.
Fair. But if if you have like one of these tight ends that are on a bye, like he's someone I
Mhm.
would consider.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's first round talent, so there is that. But yeah, I'm
Well, I mean, I thought he played pretty well last week. Like he got 5 targets. I mean, it was a blowout victory, and I
right.
think this game's going to be closer than people expect.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
So
see. I would say sit him, but you can do what you gotta do. It's tight end, so at least it's not gonna kill you if he doesn't do well.
Yeah, that is true.
All right, now let's get into Houston versus Atlanta, and this is one of the funnest ones of the week, in my opinion, because
I agree.
CJ Stroud goes to Atlanta. Both teams are 2-2. I actually think Houston's gonna win this game. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but
I don't feel that's a hot take anymore with how the Texans have played the past couple of weeks. Like,
dude, they're balling, man.
In fuego right now. And, and he's like to me, like he's like a must start every week right now.
Yeah, for sure. Especially against Atlanta. Their secondary I think is much more improved than people kind of give it credit for. But at the same time, I think that their defensive front is not that scary. And CJ Stroud's been balling with 4 out of his 5 offensive linemen banged up. Like he has 1 starting offensive lineman for the entire first month of the season, right? So he's been balling. You get a couple of those guys back, and it's going to be so much better for CJ Stroud. But basically, the moral of the story is it doesn't matter, and Atlanta does not have the defensive front to punish it. I was nervous about Pittsburgh last week, and this team handled Pittsburgh's defense, which has a way better defensive front than Atlanta does. So, they are going to smack Atlanta in this one. Desmond Ritter's not going to be able to keep up in this game, and he's proven that he's not very good at all. Even for fantasy, I'm out completely. But CJ Stroud, I'm with you. Must start right now.
Yep. Yeah. So it's for the running backs. I feel obviously Bijan is absolute must start smash.
Yep. He's too good, man. So good.
He's been fantastic, and he's only scored 1 touchdown on the year.
I know. It's crazy.
That's it.
It's crazy.
So, I'm firing him up. Are we going to start Dameon Pierce this week?
No. I'm not. I think that you have better options.
I'm kind of out on Pierce. Yeah, I'm kind of out on Pierce too.
Like, I'd rather start James Cook. I was
about to say James. I was about to say that too. So like,
I'd rather start Chuba Hubbard is a guy we're going to talk about here in just a minute than Dameon Pierce.
Spicy. Yeah,
you can't trust Dameon Pierce enough, and I don't think that Houston's going to blow out the Atlanta Falcons. Like, I think they're going to keep it fair. I think they're going to be like a touchdown lead for most of the game, and it's going to be kind of back and forth. And that's where, if they're not up, I don't think Dameon Pierce is going to have a great day, and that's just kind of my thoughts on it. I don't think you can start Devin Singletary. Algier, I don't think so.
I'm
the workload is just not there anymore.
Yeah, it's not at all. So,
receiver wise, this is where it gets interesting. Nico Collins, I'm perfectly fine starting
100% starting him.
Tank Dell, I think, is flex worthy. Robert Woods is flex worthy. Drake London, I'm okay starting him in this matchup. The way that I've kind of looked at the first couple of weeks for Atlanta is basically Drake London is the primary pass catching option for this team. And I get it. He had the goose in week 1. It wasn't for the lack of trying. Again, there was, I think, 4 plays, like 4 targets that were called back because of penalties and stuff like that. So it's not like they didn't try to get Drake London the ball in week 1, but ever since then, it's just they go to him in the key situations. You know what I mean? So I'm fine starting Drake London. You just know you have a low floor because they don't target him enough. That's kind of the biggest problem. Like, he's limited to 7 targets a game, 6 targets a game. It's just it's not great.
It's been pretty inconsistent, and I feel that Atlanta's going to have to throw more than they want to.
I know. And you look at the other side, Nico Collins, if you were to swap these 2 players, dude, Drake London would be like the dynasty wide receiver 1 right now.
Yes.
But Nico Collins is getting 10 targets a game. It's insane how much volume he's getting. And meanwhile, Drake London's fighting for scraps for Atlanta. It's so depressing. But I'm fine starting Drake London though. I'm not starting anybody else for the pass catchers. I would start Jonnu Smith actually. I think
that's what I was about to ask. Yeah,
Jonnu Smith over Kyle Pitts.
I'm feeling, and it feels really gross to say that, and I hate saying that, but I mean I'm probably gonna start Jonnu in one of my flex. I have a league where there's quite a few flexes, and it's a half point tight end premium, and I'm probably gonna start him over if like Zach Moss were to play, I'd probably start him over him.
Sure.
It's kind of where I'm at. I have a couple other
against Tennessee
mid-league players,
Yep.
that I have. So I'm really excited about Jonnu, and in that league,
he's been consistent.
Yeah, in that league, like I got him this last week in waivers, and I spent in this league we have $200 to spend on Fab, and I spent 93 of it and got him. So
there you go.
It was costing me, but in this league, like we've been like
it's dynasty. There's nobody on waivers.
It's dynasty, and it's been running for 4 or 5 years at this point. So there's not a lot of people on the waivers. So.
Yeah, Pitts, man, until they get a quarterback,
really
I just
it's
don't.
Really sad.
Yeah, yes. I just don't trust Kyle Pitts, and it's not his fault. Like it's that what is that the Matt Damon Robert Williams? It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Yeah. Where is it? Whatever movie that is, but
it's really not his fault.
All right, so yeah, I think Houston's going to win this one, but we'll see how they go. This is going to be one of those ones where it's going to be Atlanta just claps them, like wins by like 35 out of nowhere. Right. But all right, next game is going to be Carolina 0-4 going to Detroit, taking on the 3-1 Detroit Lions, and I think Lions are going to win this one handily. Yeah, Carolina's defense is good, but Detroit's playing well. The only thing, and we'll talk about this here in just a minute, with Jared Goff specifically, I guess we can just talk about it now. Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's questionable whether or not he's going to play this week. He's got the turf toe injury. But on the flip side, they did get Jameson Williams back. So, this might be the best case scenario for Jameson Williams to make a case if Amon-Ra does sit. Maybe he can make a splash play. You got to have balls of steel to play him this week, but, it could be one of those Hall of Fame moments in your league, right, where you just start him out of nowhere and he puts up 25 points or something, but I am a little nervous if Amon-Ra doesn't play, but with all the other options, I mean, Gibbs, Montgomery, Josh Reynolds, who's been playing well, Jameson comes back, Khalif Raymond, Sam Laporta. I think Jared Goff is still definitely startable as a low end. Like, would you rather start Jared Goff or Sam Howell?
I would probably start Jared Goff because I just feel he's more consistent. Overall,
I think I'd rather start Sam Howell personally, but I understand like it's close. These two are like neck and neck there. So
yeah.
It just goes to show some of that. Bryce Young is unplayable right now.
Absolutely.
Probably ever. Until they get Jerry Jeudy on, then I'll be all in on Bryce.
Yeah, I'm still out on Bryce Young, even if he gets a wide receiver one.
Yeah, they're trying to get a wide receiver one here in Carolina. I'd love to see him get Jerry Jeudy.
I just kind of wonder who they're going to trade for that. Like, are they going to trade Brian Burns, who is their cornerstone on their defense?
I bet you could get
not have a defense and.
You could probably get someone like a Jerry Jeudy for like a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick because they don't want to pay him, So there's that piece of it. But yeah, Bryce Young right now, unplayable. Miles Sanders still coming back from the injury. That's kind of lingering. Detroit's been good against the running back position. That's why I am personally very high on Chuba this week. I think that Chuba's going to get a lot of opportunity. And he's been utilized a lot in the passing game as well. And that's where I think he has a decently high floor in this matchup. On the flip side, Dave Montgomery must start. Jahmyr Gibbs. Dude, what are we doing with Gibbs here?
I think I'm okay having him in my flex.
Would you rather start Chuba or Gibbs? I would probably rather start Chuba. Like that's how low we've gone.
I think I would rather start Gibbs.
That's how low we've gone. Man.
I will stick on the Gibbs train. It feels gross, but I think they're gonna figure it out. Like he's a rookie. He's gonna get.
There is that aspect. I agree, but it is not very reassuring that they just.
Yes, it's not.
I mean, David Montgomery was coming off an injury, and they still gave him 30-some touches. Like,
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I get it, but at the same time, like, guys, come on, we gotta get the young guys some touches. You know what I mean? So,
right.
We'll see. Receiver wise, again, monitor. This is early in the week, so Amon-Ra St. Brown, he might be playing, might not. Josh Reynolds, I think, is flex worthy. He was decent last week. I was pretty proud of this call out last week, but they were up by 4 scores basically the entire game. So the passing basically stopped completely. Otherwise, Josh Reynolds, I think, was going to have a very solid day through the air, but I think he had like 10 points, which was fine for a flex, like I said, but he could have had so much more if they weren't up so much. Are you starting Jameson in his return game if Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't play?
I'm wait and see with him. I don't want to start him yet because I feel his targets are going to be too inconsistent, and I think he's going to be more of a decoy. Yeah. Especially if Amon-Ra's out, I think he's going to be more of the decoy, and I think it's going to be more Reynolds. Maybe even like Khalif Raymond may get involved a little bit, and I see a big Sam Laporta week this week.
I could see a big Sam Laporta without Amon-Ra, you're saying?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah.
The only thing with Jameson, the thing that scares me with him is that they give him the Gibbs treatment. I mean, look how they're treating their first-round pick from this year, right? And I get it. Jameson's been in the building a little bit longer. He was active for the second half of last year, but it just seems like they bring players along slowly, except for Sam Laporta for whatever reason. I that's the only thing that scares me with Jameson. But at the same time, I would not be shocked if he goes out there, has 3 catches for 2 touchdowns because he's so lightning fast, So just keep that in mind. But I would lean towards sitting him. But again, Hall of Fame moment. He goes out there, he scores 2 touchdowns, you start him, you got some bragging rights. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But I don't really think at this point I don't think I have the gusto to start him right now because I've had him in a couple leagues where I've wanted to start him, and I don't feel he gets the target share that he should really. We
don't know. That's the problem. Like last year, he was still coming back from the ACL.
So from the ACL. It was just a weird circumstance.
They say that he's ready to go. Like he's in shape right now. So we'll see what happens. But well. Just got to wait and see on Sunday. So on the other side, Adam Thielen is the only guy I'm willing to start in 100%. This matchup. DJ, especially with Bryce Young. Like if it was Andy Dalton starting at quarterback, I think DJ Chark is playable. I think Hayden Hurst is playable. But with it being Bryce Young, it's just he's too green, man, and he's not experienced enough, and he's going to dump it off to Thielen, and that's going to be about it. And they're going to have a lot of 3-and-outs, and Detroit's defense is much improved over years past. So, it's Thielen and cut ties, and I'm out. That's why I think Chuba's going to be much better. I think he's going to dump it off to him quite a few times. Him or Sanders, if Sanders does play a lot. But, it's not encouraging. That's for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's go to our next game here. 1 o'clock, the 2-2 Tennessee Titans are going to the Indianapolis Colts, 2-2 Indianapolis Colts. And this is going to be an interesting game. I think Tennessee's going to win this one. I just have a weird feeling. So? Yeah, dude, they win games that you're like, why? How?
Right.
Like every time you think that they're out of it, Mike Vrabel pulls them back in. There's no reason why they should, but I just have a feeling they're going to win this game. So take it for what it's worth. I'm not starting Ryan Tannehill, but I think they'll win the game.
I'm not even getting close to Ryan Tannehill. I'm definitely starting Anthony Richardson.
Here's the thing. I was going to ask you about this specifically because Tennessee has such a good run defense.
I don't care.
Not worried?
I don't care. Him just touching the ball and having that running threat. Like if he runs, I mean he ran 10 times last week, on a Rams defense that is they're good. Isn't
they're
bad.
Above average, yeah.
Yeah, isn't a bad defense. Like he played really well.
He's been very good. Tennessee's been shutting down every running.
I don't care because I don't think Tennessee's played a quarterback like this yet.
Fair. I mean, that's fair. So
like this year the Titans have played. Well, I mean they have Joe Burrow on half a leg.
Right.
They had Deshaun Watson who
He
threw
was
the
a little
ball
bit. He was
straight.
pretty mobile in that game, actually.
Yeah, he wasn't
So,
bad. And then they played the Chargers, which I mean that's not Justin Herbert's game is running. And then they had Derek Carr who can't move
right.
3 yards.
Can't move out of the pocket to get.
So yeah,
Yep.
so I mean, I don't think they've faced anybody quite like Richardson yet, and
Mhm.
I'm more than fine starting him. I think he's going to have a borderline,
Stay in the
top
flames. Stay in the
top
flames.
12 week, and he's going to be fine. He's going
Yep.
to be just fine.
I'm with you. Now, running back wise, Jonathan Taylor might be back. Derrick Henry, I'm fine starting King Henry.
I would
Smash him.
Yes, I'm smashing King Henry, and I don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to play.
I think he is going to play, but I think it's going to be a snap count.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like
Yeah,
they're going to
and
give
I'm
him
not
very limited touches,
right,
but
right. And if he does start, I don't want to start him yet.
I don't either. Not in this matchup.
Right.
Against Tennessee, again, we just talked about it. They've been shutting down the run game like crazy, and I'm not starting. Whether JT plays or not, I'm not starting Zach
Right.
Moss either. I just don't want either one of these guys. Anthony Richardson is the only rusher I think is going to have success against this defense. So, Tajay Spears, are you interested in him at all? I would not
really.
personally.
Not really. I mean, I don't hate him as like once we get more into the buys
Right.
and have more teams on buys, I would be more comfortable. But
Mhm.
I think right now there's not enough people out and not enough important people out for
Right.
me to start him.
Yeah, there's not a lot of heavy hitters out at running back this week.
Right.
There are some big receivers out, but yeah, running back wise, not so much. Receivers, Hopkins. Are you starting any of these receivers? Like that's the hardest part.
I'm not getting any close to any of those guys.
Tennessee.
I would rather, on Tennessee, I would rather.
Pittman's startable, I think, is fine.
Yes, he is.
Josh Downs, I think Josh Downs is startable in this one. Is flex worthy in this game because Tennessee is so easy to throw on. I could see him getting quite a few dump offs. From a full PPR standpoint, I could see him having like 6 catches for like 50 yards. It's nothing exciting, but I think he could have a pretty high floor just with a lot of dump offs in this one.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that. So, I'm okay with that. Just if you kind of have to, I really think this is going to be like I want to say it's going to be an ugly game, but I think it's going to be
it's gonna be ugly, man.
It's going to be pretty ugly. So
it's gonna be an AFC South brawl. It's gonna be beat them down,
barn burner. Here.
Yeah. Tight end wise, again, Chig. I'm not starting him.
I'm not starting any tight end. On either side.
You're not starting. So I was gonna say, Kylan Granson has been getting a lot of looks from Anthony Richardson. They seem to have some sort of connection. I was just wondering, would you rather start him or like Dalton Schultz or like I'd probably personally, and again, this might be a hot takey, but I'm not trying to be. I'd rather start Kylan Granson over Dalton Kincaid.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm the opposite way. I think Kincaid is the better player. He's gonna have more success, but it's fantasy football and real life football, and that doesn't always ring true, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's go to our next one. We got 3 more here we're going to talk about today, and then we're going to be back tomorrow with the second half. So make sure you guys come back and tune in. Again, we're halfway through the podcast. Well, more than halfway, but please like, comment, subscribe. Give us comments, feedback, what you like about this, what you'd like to see change, what other content you guys would like as well. We like to hear from you guys, so please hit us up and just let us know. But before we get to that, we got to talk about the 1-3 New York Giants going against the 3-1 Miami Dolphins, and this is going to be a get-right game if I've ever seen it for Miami.
I can't wait.
Dude, they're going to massacre the Giants. Giants look like garbage.
I think the only thing that could stop Miami is the potential for rain, which I'm seeing here. So that would be that's literally the only thing. Like this Giants team is in shambles. I know it's not gonna matter, and they're in shambles. They're playing like flaming hot garbage.
Yeah, Miami's defense has been really good too. Like your guys' defensive front has been
it's been
tough.
solid, but it was a problem was last week we gave up 48 points to the Bills.
It's the Bills though. They're tricky.
But other than that, like, I mean, at the very least, like, I feel we can keep up with most any team, and if we're on, or at least halfway on, it's gonna be fine.
Yep.
So I'm really. I mean, I'm starting to.
I'm not starting Daniel Jones, dude. You can't pay me money. That offensive line is so bad.
Would you rather start Daniel Jones or Sam Howell?
Sam Howell. I was going to ask you, would you rather start Daniel Jones or Jared Goff? But I think, would you rather start Daniel Jones or Bryce Young?
I would rather start Daniel, because I know Daniel Jones can
run it. He's the team's rushing leader. Yeah, stupid. Dude, this team is a joke, man. It's bad.
It's gross.
But gross. Yeah, start Tua. Don't start Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Yeah. Danny Nichols over here. Miami running backs. I'm starting Mostert. I get it. He had a down week last week. He had a couple fumbles, and it just it's unfortunate.
I don't really care. I'm staying in the somewhat flames. I'm even gonna start Achane.
Oh yeah, Achane, dude. Come on,
Achane. Excuse me, Achane.
I was gonna say,
I saw that.
The biggest thing I think is gonna be the takeaway from the last couple weeks. I think they're gonna try and get Achane more involved. I think that he's working his way above Mostert in the pecking order. Now, that's not to say that they're never going to bring in another guy like a JT or something, but I think that both of these guys are startable. They're so explosive in the way that they get them in space. Right. It's nuts, man. So
right, and with that, I personally don't think they're ever going to bring Jonathan Taylor in, because
I don't either. I'm just saying that.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, having that bell cow, but I think this team is built on speed. And they want
JT's fast though. You got to remember he ran a 4.40, so he's quick.
He is very fast. He is very fast, but Mostert and Achane are faster.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, those guys. So, I mean, they're like half his size.
I don't care.
They're like, H-Head's what, 185? He's got a few pounds on him.
Wet, yes.
Now, Barkley on the other side, I don't think he's playing. I get it. He's projected 16 points, but...
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah,
I don't think he's playing.
I don't think he's going to play, because I believe he has a high ankle sprain.
That's what everyone says, or, that's what everyone's theorizing.
That's really tricky to, have it heal right and do everything. So, I mean, if I were Saquon Barkley, I would want to stay off the field as long as I could.
His money's fully guaranteed, and he's in a long-term contract. Why?
So like,
and the team's 1-3. Like, why are you rushing back? Like, the team sucks.
So if Barkley doesn't start, are you going to start Matt Breida?
No, I'm not. Okay, so I was going to say, I'm going to make it easy. I'm not starting anybody on this team. Okay. Nobody on the Giants.
Not even the Walrus?
No. This offense sucks, man. It's been so bad.
I would be low-key okay starting.
Wandale is like the only one I'd be interested in, and that's it.
I would be low-key on Matt Breida. That's just me, because I am a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, you are for sure, my friend.
I am.
You are for sure. I'd rather start Zach Moss than Matt Breida, and that's
fair.
So it's not good.
So on the Miami side, Tyreek Hill. Are you worried about Jalen Waddle?
No, I don't think so. I know this is a big talking point, but like, I heard people talking about it like, oh, he was wide receiver 65 in week 1. He still had like 14 points in full PPR. Like, who cares, man? Like,
it's not a big deal.
There's been like, I've been tracking some of my leagues this year, right? So I've been more actively, I got an Excel doc, and I'm tracking the weekly finishes and start sit decisions and things like that, right? Just to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable. It's ironic that I started doing this and then I have the best start to a season I've ever had. So maybe I could have been doing this the whole time. But at the same time, there's weeks where I've had receivers, a couple of weeks in there, and it all depends on your league settings and everything like that, right? But there was a week where I had a receiver who had 16 points and he wasn't even a top 40 wide receiver. It's like,
wild.
Okay, I get it. Like, oh yeah, there's 40 other, but how many of those 40 are you actually starting? Like, Rashid Shaheed, are you actually starting him over Jalen Waddle just because he had 16.5 versus 16 points? Like, I get it. The receivers are very, very close. There's so many of these guys that can just pop off at any time. So, no, I'm not worried about Jalen Waddle. I think he's going to have a decently fine game. I think he's been getting back from injury as well. So, the other guy is Smythe. Are you willing to start him at tight end?
I would give him a thought. He played pretty well last week. He's been decent.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'd rather play Jonnu instead of Durham Smythe.
Yep, I'm with you.
So, if
I'd rather start
like
Smythe than Waller, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh no, that's very fair. I'm really worried about. I don't want to start any New York Giant right now until they figure their crap out.
Yep, 100%.
If they ever do.
All right, we got 2 games left here. Let's rush through these. We got 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. All right, New Orleans versus New England. This one will be quick. Derek Carr's playing like garbage, and Mac Jones is also playing like garbage. We have the New Orleans defense is good. New England defense is good. This is going to be a repeat of the Jets versus the Patriots from 2 weeks ago.
I will say that for New England, like they did lose their first-round pick, Christian Gonzalez, today. Well, officially today with I think it was a torn labrum.
Yeah, and we don't have Matt Judon.
Or Matt Judon. But you guys did trade for J.C. Jackson. He is back.
We did? I didn't see this.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was a Chargers cornerback that signed a couple years ago.
Well, yeah, he just signed. Yeah, last year he was a free agent and signed with them, got injured. Now he's back. Dude, that's actually huge because the way that Bill Belichick used J.C. Jackson was massive. So that's good news. But the problem is Derek Carr sucks, and he's also injured with an AC joint sprain. Like, why are you throwing the ball? So
Just start Jameis.
They don't want to start Jameis. They want to be bad. They'd rather be bad than start Jameis. This is going to be like a 13-10 victory, man. I don't.
Yeah, it's going to be really gross. Like I was saying that like it's a Tennessee Indy game is going to be bad.
Yeah.
This game is going to be worse.
Yes, for sure.
Be bad. Carr's been playing bad. Like we said, that there's McCorkle on the other side who can't seem to figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't want to start Ramondre. I am sure not starting Zeke Elliott.
Nope. So
I don't know what's happening with him.
Here's who I'm playing in this game, and this is it. And then I'm walking away. Hunter Henry for the Patriots. I think he's going to be a volume play at tight end. I think that's the only thing that is going to save him there. On the flip side, I think that Olave and Thomas and Kamara is flex-worthy. All 3 of those guys are flex-worthy. I don't think any of them are going to have a good game. I think Michael Thomas is probably going to be the one that they lock up the most. But yeah, Olave and Michael Thomas and Kamara are in full PPR in flex consideration for all of these guys just because they're going to get 50 targets because Derek Carr is terrible, but they're going to have like 50 yards. So it's going to be bad. It's going to be very bad, but I think PPR, they're going to be saved just by volume alone.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, so.
All right. I don't want to talk about this. This one's gross.
Yeah, please.
We're low on time anyway.
Let's move on to Baltimore at Pittsburgh, which I think this could be probably not a good game.
This is also not going to be a good game. This is going to be a clapping because we've got, it says Kenny Pickett, but I believe I've heard that nobody knows if it's going to be Marcus Mariota or not Marcus Mariota.
I was going to say Marcus Mariota.
Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. We don't know who's going to be. Honestly, I think Mitch Trubisky is probably better for the fantasy options than Kenny Pickett because Kenny Pickett is cheeks, man. He's just absolute dog.
Flaming garbage, yeah.
Yep. But so is Matt Canada, to be fair. So, it's rough. Lamar Jackson must play. He's going to be fine.
100%.
Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky must sit bench.
Yeah. But I will say I think this game in a whole is probably going to be a little bit closer.
It's going to be a fun one to watch, but it's not going to be one that's going to be brimming with fantasy points.
Yeah. So So are we starting Najee or?
I'm fine with it, dude. Everyone hating on Najee makes no sense to me.
I'm fine with starting Najee. Are you fine with starting Warren as well?
No. He doesn't. No. No, he's not the better running back. That's the whole thing. Like, he's just not that good. He gets a lot of dump offs, but if it's Mitch, he's not going to dump it off to him. And if it's Kenny, I just don't. Yeah.
Are we starting anybody on the Baltimore side for running backs?
No.
I'm not getting close to any.
No, I actually think Zay Flowers is a very good asset this week to start at wide receiver.
I agree.
Bateman is healthy, supposedly. I'm not starting him. OBJ is supposedly healthy. I'm not starting him.
I don't want anywhere near him. No, thank you.
I rank it. I mean, honestly, I rank it for Baltimore. It's just Andrews and Flowers are the only two guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even for Pittsburgh, I don't really want to start anybody else.
Pickens is fine. I get it. Pickens has his down weeks, but he's a contested catch savant, right? Like, some weeks it's going to go his way, and some weeks it's not. If Mitch is out there, he's going to feed him.
If I had to start one, it would be Pickens, and that's it. Pat Freiermuth is out this week.
Yep.
And
don't start Darnell Washington. It's not worth it. Do not start Darnell Washington. Although I do think that Darnell is going to be on the field a lot. And if you're doing like DFS or something like that, and you need a super cheap tight end option with a touchdown upside, Darnell Washington is somebody that I would keep an eye on. Just because from a pure, he could probably have like 2 catches for 4 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, I could see that happening in this game just because of no Freiermuth, but I'm not staking anything on that. So just for what it's worth. But yeah, I think Pickens is the only one startable. Other than that, Deontay Johnson is definitely needed for this team when he does come back. And I've always been a big anti-Deontay guy, but man, it is pretty apparent that losing him completely has hurt these guys pretty heavily.
Agreed.
So yeah, again, this will be a fun one to watch, but I'm not super thrilled with it for fantasy purposes. But
it's gonna be an ugly game.
Dude, this 1:00 slate is gonna be rough. Like, I don't think I think Houston and Atlanta is probably the closest one out of all 5 of them.
Yep. So oof. Yeah. Well, unfortunately for Calvin and I, like, we're in the Midwest, so we're gonna end up watching like Tennessee, Indy.
No, you're gonna watch that. I have sources, man. I watch NFL Red Zone.
Shame on you.
I have my ways, man. I have my ways. So I'm watching the Red Zone, bro. I'm not watching. Watching Fox.
I'm probably not gonna watch any of these games. Like, I'm just gonna get on NFL Network.
There you go.
The cheap version of it. So
there you go.
And just watch highlights from there.
Yeah. So now, we got to be careful, because I do think that people get too negative at times. It's like, oh, these games all stink. Yep. But then in 16 weeks, man, I wish I had football. I'd take any of these games. Yep. So it's enjoy it while it's here. But
I do agree with that. And I am just super excited to wear my Tyreek Hill jersey. It's a jersey shirt because I'm cheap. But still, I'm excited to wear that Sunday and watch the Dolphins hopefully not get clapped by the Giants.
That'd be hilarious. That would be hilarious.
Would make me cry. I would be so sad.
That'd be good times. But
yeah, it would be. Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us here today. And again, I know I've been kind of claiming on it, but if you can, please tell the podcast. If you made it this far, we appreciate you guys. We really do. Again, give us feedback. We want to hear from you guys. Just leave a comment down below. It takes 5 seconds. Type it out. It can be a mean comment. I don't really care. I just want comments down below just so we know what you guys want. We want to hear what you guys like. I'm not doing this for me. Like, I like to talk about football. I really am, but I'm doing it to help people out there. And if I'm not doing stuff for you guys, then what's the point of this, right? So, the whole goal is to just try and grow this entire offseason. So, or this entire season, I guess, not off season anymore, but leave some feedback down below. Hit us up on Twitter at TDC_Calvin, at Dynasty_Dale for my co-host here. You can find the podcast at FF After Dark. And again, if you're interested in betting and gambling, check it out on Saturday. We're going to be dropping that as well. Me and my sister are going to be putting that out on Saturday. So we're going to be putting out more content. Again, we're looking for feedback on what you guys want to hear, but we appreciate you guys so much. Dale, any last thoughts?
Send it home.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening, and have a good night.